So thanks for joining me, Charles. Super excited for our conversation today. You're the founder of ItBox, and yeah, it'd be great to understand what brought you here today. What's your story and what inspired you to create ItBox?
Gemma, thank you very much for having me. Nice to see you. So I come to this as a rather bizarrely now finding myself as a sort of in tech or in compliance tech. I'm a surveyor. I'm a chartered surveyor. I've done that for the last 30 years. I never really thought I'd end up here. I've been a property manager. I've done valuation work. I've done investment work, and I've had a couple of my own sort of property businesses, surveying businesses. What happened was over the last 7 or 8 years, really since Grenfell, I've got more and more drawn into building safety, doing work for clients of ours, and that started in relation to sort of cladding remediation work, and then one of our big pension fund clients asked us about 3 years ago to go and audit their managing agents to look at how they were doing in
Mm,
complying with the legislation that followed Grenfell.
right.
And off the back of that, it occurred to me there was a great big void in relation to resident engagement. And
Mm.
they were all struggling to comply with that. And I thought, okay, there's a way of helping them do this. And off the back of that, that is where the idea for ItBox came from.
Yeah, that makes sense. And when you say they were struggling to comply, could you elaborate there a little bit more?
So the Act is really interesting. This is the Building Safety Act,
Yeah.
and each provision of the Building Safety Act, it's possible to draw a direct line back to what went wrong at Grenfell.
Yeah.
One of the areas, and there were numerous areas, but one of the areas was resident engagement, that the tenant management organization, who were meant to be looking after the tenants, failed to listen to them. They failed to respond to complaints. They failed to share information with them. So ItBox actually delivers compliance with probably a dozen Grenfell failings that now sit in the law.
Right.
It's a very easy to use, intuitive platform. We've been really working hard to make it as easy and as resident friendly as we possibly can.
Yeah, could you elaborate a little bit more on yeah, what the software does and how people would use it?
So we have a resident app, an ItBox resident app. It's very easy. As I say, we've tried to make it as easy as possible for residents to
Hmm.
engage with the platform. So once the owner or the property manager uploads a building, we generate a QR code for them.
Hmm.
The
Okay.
residents scan that QR code. It takes them to the Google Play Store or to the App Store. They download the app, answer half a dozen questions,
Hmm.
and they then find themselves on the homepage for their building. And then we
Hmm.
have a flow of, as I say, the sort of the prescriptive legislative requirements that sit in the Act, but we presented it in a very easy to use way.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, the platform side of things, that is because we've all been the team have been property managers. We've built that in such a way that it makes it really easy for property managers to navigate the
Mm.
platform. Uh,
Yeah, that's great. And I'm hearing the word easy come up a lot. So it sounds like the problem here was the fact that it was maybe just a bit too, the process was a bit clunky before, and there was really a need to come in and just simplify it, make it a lot easier.
Well, I mean, I think the thing is there was no process
Right.
before
Wow.
Ritbox. We were finding that our clients were delivering or trying to meet compliance requirements across numerous different platforms. So,
Mm.
everything from letters, mail through letterboxes to SharePoint to PDFs to emails. It was a mess.
Yeah.
And the net result of that was residents didn't really understand
No.
what they could do, and property managers were creating more work than they needed to.
Mm.
You highlight my use of the word easy.
Yeah.
The challenge, I think, in the property management sector is it's a high volume, low margin business,
Hmm.
and asking them to do anything differently
Yeah.
is challenging. They
Yeah.
haven't got the time, so the only way to make this work really is to make it as easy as possible for them.
Yeah.
And I think we've done that and done it really well.
It definitely sounds like it is a very clear niche, which brings me on to kind of asking about how you're finding the prop tech scene in the UK right now. And do you face any competition with other similar softwares, or how do you find the market in that sense?
So I think there are a couple of questions there. How do I find prop tech? I've been surprised. We are lucky. We're a compliance platform, and I've been doing this, and I'm pretty well networked. I've been doing this for 30 years, so I know a lot of people. We as a business have done really pretty well in our first year.
Yeah.
We have a really healthy amount of apartments on the platform, and we've got a phenomenal funnel. However, goodness, it's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I think I understand that prop tech is lagging many other sectors in relation to the way that customers have embraced this. I think prop tech is for all sorts of reasons. Property managers, which is my niche within the prop tech world, are reluctant to take on new systems, and I think that's for a number of reasons. I think they're incredibly busy, and it's slightly counterintuitive. But even if you present them with a solution that will make their life easier, that will save them time, the question is, have they got the time to invest in the first place to take a new platform on? So that's a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
And in answer to your question around have we got any competition, we haven't got any direct competition at the moment, which is a good place to be. Although actually to have a bit of competition would be interesting and maybe even helpful.
Yeah.
There are other platforms that do elements of what we do. So there are portals, there are compliance systems, but we're fulfilling a very specific niche,
Yeah.
a very prescriptive set of statutory requirements. So we're doing things like you have to communicate with people, with residents in a way that they understand. And we present all of this in multiple different languages, and that's not necessarily something that other platforms do.
Yeah. And I hear that a lot as well. Is there's a lot of products that are out there that try and do a lot of different things. They have a product and it will solve certain parts of problems, but I guess you guys are completely, that's your niche and you're completely focused on that. So I guess that's been the reason for your success.
And I think that we've been laser focused in that.
Yeah.
And there have been many times on the development journey where we could have become a portal, we could have become a CRM, but the reality is that I like to think about the product in three ways from a sales point of view. For our landlord clients, we could quite literally keep them out of prison. If this all went horribly wrong and people were injured or worse in a building safety incident or fire.
Yeah.
The fact that they can demonstrate to the building safety regulator that they delivered end-to-end compliance could be the difference between landing up in a worst case scenario in prison.
Yeah, well, exactly. It sounds like you guys, it's more of a need to have product as opposed to a nice to have. So yeah, it's clear the value add that you guys have.
But I think from a property manager's point of view, it's a need to have and a nice to have, because we've developed something that takes a very complicated task and makes it much easier for them.
Yeah.
And finally, it's a product that hopefully helps to keep residents safer in their homes and actually to have a business that genuinely does something positive and something good is a good feeling for the whole team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would agree. You mentioned about the kind of pace of decision making and adoption in the market that is challenging. Is there anything else that has been challenging that you didn't think would be after year one?
Gemma, I think I get out of bed every morning and my day is full of challenges. As I said to you, I've been a chartered surveyor.
It's always fun to start off life.
I've been a chartered surveyor for 30 plus years. I'm now operating in a completely different world. Whether those challenges are tech, and I have a brilliant tech team in-house, but every day we're trying to figure out how can we do this better? How can we make the site more secure? I've never been in sales before. Okay, I've built businesses, but that's off the back of warm relationships and having delivered work. Selling into this sector is really challenging. You have to really think about it. Every which way I look, my day is just full of new challenges. And on one hand, it's frightening, and on the other hand, it's exciting.
Yeah, for sure. No, yeah, well, I hope that gets a bit easier as time goes on. Talk to me about what you feel is missing in the UK prop tech scene, and how are you guys solving that?
I think my experience of this, and I've been dealing mostly with property management businesses, it goes back to your earlier point I was making earlier around it is just a sector that is very slow to embrace new tech, and I've seen a lot of, particularly the larger property management businesses, they're running on legacy systems. Those systems, they don't talk to other systems. And I feel that unless the sector embraces tech, given how quickly things are moving, and they are moving at lightning speed at the moment, businesses are going to be left behind. I think property technology potentially delivers efficiency, delivers better standards, frees up time for property managers to spend more time with their customers rather than on admin, and fundamentally it waives the possibility of actually generating better margins for these businesses. So I would just encourage anybody involved, in procurement from the property management side of things, just open your mind to what's out there, because if you don't, you're going to get left behind.
Completely. And how do you feel that these businesses could actually kind of adopt things easier?
I think it really depends on the business. So we've been dealing with one of our potential clients is a really big property management business. They have legacy systems that don't talk to each other. And we've really caused them a problem in as much as we've made them think and ask themselves these questions. The challenge is that rather than embrace us as a solution, they've decided to go away and have a really good look at their systems and to see what the next 5 years might look like. Hopefully they'll be back to us. But I think just by examining how these businesses are operating, whether it's their property management software, their compliance software, their customer relations software, I think these systems have got to be integrated. They've got to talk to each other. They've got to do things that make the lives of the property management team, of the customer care team, easier. And I think if you can embrace elements of that and at least have a critical path, well, that's a good place to be.
Yeah, and it is a time saver at the end of the day. It's just getting over that first hurdle and actually adopting it and taking the time to understand how to use it, and then that's when the benefit comes in. So yeah, I can see why that's a challenge, and hopefully you guys are able to kind of overcome some of those issues that you face with certain clients. But it sounds like you're doing a great job after year one. So yeah. So the product was built off of the back of the Building Safety Act 2022. Are there any other UK legislations or market trends that have an impact on ItBox, like renters' rights, for example?
Renters' rights, not necessarily, but actually there has just been a new piece of legislation introduced, which requires property managers and landlords to understand who in their buildings over 18 meters and those buildings over 11 meters with simultaneous evacuation policies, who might need help in the event of an incident. And that legislation came in a couple of days ago. And we have developed a module that now sits on the platform and on the app that allows and enables property managers to deliver compliance with this legislation in a step-by-step way. So it helps them manage the interaction with the resident. It helps them understand what mitigations they might think about putting in place based on the resident's vulnerability. And then it helps create something called an emergency evacuation statement and sharing information with the fire and rescue services. So for us, I think we have a really ambitious roadmap in terms of what we're building and what we're adding to the platform. And I don't see legislative requirements sort of dropping away. If anything, I think resident safety is going to become even more prescriptive.
Yeah, which is huge opportunity for you guys. And I guess it would be quite, well, it's easy for me saying I don't actually develop software, but I guess it would be quite easy to keep developing that product to allow for, more legislative changes and introductions.
Yeah, and one of the big opportunities for us is that it looks like there will be a redefinition of what the government see as a high risk building. At the moment, a higher risk building is every building over 18 meters. We anticipate, based off the back of the second Grenfell inquiry report, that will be dropped to 11 meters. Now, what that does for us as a business is it means that our addressable market increases from about 12,500 buildings to about 90,000 buildings.
Wow. Okay.
So there's a real opportunity moving into the future. But fundamentally, this is about keeping people safe, and it's quite right that where there are risks, those are addressed by new legislation.
Yeah, it's exciting for sure. What milestones should we expect from 𝗁𝗏𝗧 in 2026?
Gosh, that's a big question, Gemma. What are we doing? Yeah, well, we really just want to continue growing the platform. And I think the milestones that I'm most excited about is we focused up to this point on sort of mid-sized property management businesses. That's not to say that we haven't got Build to Rent and Student on the platform, but we have some really exciting enterprise deals in the pipeline at the moment with some of the biggest private and public sector landlords in the country. So I think what I'm really excited about is getting those deals over the line, and that will be transformational for the business and for our team. And Gemma, I'll be coming to you and asking you to help me recruit more customer care and sales teams.
For sure, I'm always here. No, that's super exciting, and I know that as soon as you get one of those big enterprise logos on, it's just a knock-on effect, and there's more kind of case studies, and it would just really enhance your guys' growth. So that is huge after year one. It really is. Final question is what advice would you give a startup trying to enter the UK prop tech market?
I would say, however difficult you thought it might be, it's going to be more challenging. I would every step of the way has been challenging, whether it's building I think product market fit is the big one. Make sure that what you are developing is something that the market is going to adopt. So do lots of market research. Speak to lots of people. Make sure you get your pricing right. And I think you stand half a chance. I also would say, make sure you've got some cash behind you, because if you think it's going to take 4 months to get a bit of traction, it'll probably take you 6 or 8 months. Be realistic. It's hard, it's really hard, but it's exciting, and it feels incredibly rewarding as well.
Yeah, no, that's some very honest advice. And can we have a conversation about the culture internally at 𝗁𝗏𝗧? Could you describe to me a bit about the team and how they've contributed to your success?
So Gemma, having been working for as long as I have, the world has changed immensely since I was a graduate surveyor. And there was a sort of a culture of fear almost pervasive in businesses that I started my career. I think one of the things I've most enjoyed about the 𝗪𝗏 journey is I've managed to create, or I've tried to create, a culture within the business that I'm comfortable with. I've managed to, maybe by luck and maybe by judgment, but we have a fantastic team, some really smart people working in our tech team. We have a customer delight team, and I use the word delight because I think that's what we should be aiming for. We've actually, having worked in consultancy, I've taken some of the core successes and values that have served me well in my consultancy business, and we've moved those into our compliance as a service business. So we're slightly different. I think we're just lucky that we've got a really young, smart, energetic, enthusiastic team, and it gives me great pleasure to be working in that environment.
Yeah, and it's so great to hear a founder say that. And it sounds like you guys, what you've done as a leader and what's been really successful is the delegation to different people and trusting that the skills and the value add they can have, and how that can shape the business in a positive way. So yeah, that is great to hear.
I think on that point, the team are smart enough that they've figured this out as they've gone along, and we have regular catch-ups, and we talk about these things, and we figure out, I think it's important, not just what has succeeded, but what hasn't. So we learn from our own mistakes.
Yeah, it's been a collaborative journey.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much.